we're gonna get into a little bit on what they were talking about and what people in the audience really thought was the biggest things, like biggest important things to them. So they're saying what issues matter most. This is from 538 or Ipsos.
Ipsos.
Yeah, so you can go check them out. We leave all our links in the description so you guys can see for yourself.
And since we brought this issue up, we'd like if you would take a moment and just comment with what are your biggest concerns on the future of our country, on what you think the president should be focusing on, because not everybody in the Republican Party is in agreement on every single thing. There's diversity of thought within the Republican Party, which is something that is generally sorely lacking in the Democratic Party. Um, I honestly, me personally, I think, you know, that's one of the few things that Bill Clinton got right, where it's the economy, stupid. Like that quote is famous because I would say most people, first and foremost, focus on what affects them directly.
Hmm.
And the economy, how can anybody ignore what's been going on with the cost of food, the craziness and the cost of fuel with the way it's gone up and down and all over the place. And, things that used to cost, as an example, I used to buy a big box of eggs, comes 60 eggs. And at one point in time, that was under $5, and it went all the way up to nearly $20. That's inflation on a scale that's just insane,
Yeah.
and that's, I think, one of the things that will really differ for most people is after the one like really big thing that everybody focuses on. Where are the priorities after that? So if you're younger, perhaps you're more focused on your job. So maybe from a right leaning perspective, the thought of immigration really hits you, directly, because you realize that a steady stream of unskilled, uneducated potential workers allows for the wages to be artificially manipulated in keeping them low. I personally think that the Republican Party has, you know, not necessarily shown the greatest track record when it comes to immigration. So me personally, that's definitely a strong one. But I'm very curious to see, whoever watches this video, what matters to you? What's important to you? What is it that makes you actually get up and go to the polls? Is it one particular issue? Is it several issues? Is it no issues at all? Are you just voting against the Democrat Party in and of itself, or the particular candidate? There's many ways to crack this nut, and I'm genuinely curious as to the people who watch this content. Where do you stand? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and let us know if you are voting. Who do you think you're gonna vote for, and who do you think at this point in time is most likely to win? My my person of choice would probably be Trump. Uh, I think he's most likely to win, and he's also the person at this point in time that I actually want to win. But according to this poll, a lot of the issues that people are having, or a lot of the issues that matter to them, from specifically Republican primary voters who watch the debate, we have the biggest issue is let's see, getting inflation or increasing cost under control. It's 52% considered that as the biggest problem. Then we have in second place 44% controlling immigration, which that is something that is very understandable, and both Vivek and Trump seem to have that pretty down packed on uh, how they how they want to handle that. Next, we have for 29% someone fighting against the liberalism and woke agenda. 29%. That's an important one because they're putting that off as like, that's third in what they really see, what matters to them. And that goes along with a lot of stuff, and there's a whole lot of stuff that goes into the woke agenda and the things that it's been doing to society. And they're putting that off as, their third priority. It's not top priority. When Democrats label off Republicans as people who are specifically targeting that, who are specifically saying the woke agenda is the worst thing ever. And from here in the polls, we could see that it is important to them, but it's not as important as other things they
I,
find.
I think that needs a little clarification though, because I would go out and I would speculate that if you were to ask the people that listed that as a priority,
Hmm.
that what they're specifically referring to really comes down to two basic categories, and it would be fighting against that agenda being kind of forced upon children
Yeah,
in schools, which I also agree is not necessarily um, beneficial for anyone.
yeah,
Confusing children about who they are is not a good idea. But there's a lot of there's a lot of evidence to suggest that has heavy ties to Marxist ideology. Marxism basically intended to and kind of openly communicated that it was a stated goal to destroy the nuclear family. This way, government can have greater control over each individual without as much resistance. So by breaking down the nuclear family, you can kind of transition the responsibility of providing morals to the children from the parents to the government run centers of education. I honestly I can totally understand that. And secondly, you know, the woke agenda kind of is a broad term. There's a lot of things involved in that.
yeah,
I don't necessarily think that every single one of them is something that people really care about,
yeah,
right? Because you know, my position as a person who definitely is somewhere between libertarian and conservative is each individual is free to live their life however they want, so long as their life and the choices they make in their life does not cause harm to other people, and harm in a real sense, not in the leftist kind of pansy sense that they kind of intend. Um, I really believe that as an adult you should be free to do whatever you want. Like as long as you're not physically hurting someone,
yeah,
live your life however you want. Live your best life. You do you. If you believe that you're something that doesn't match with whatever, hey, that's all good, right? If you your pronouns are dragon and dragonkin, whatever, like it's your life. The second you start trying to impose your life onto other people, that's where you got a problem.
yeah,
And I think one of the reasons why leftists get so up in arms is that they don't understand that concept. They don't understand that a lot of the things that they're doing in education is literally the things they claim that we do. They are literally imposing their worldview, their bias, their perceptions onto children when those children lack the ability, the mental development to properly process any of those concepts and to put them in their proper place. So they're literally trying to create an incentive to push people towards one particular ideology. And I honestly believe that's what people mean when they say fighting against liberalism and the woke agenda. It generally focuses on stay away from our kids
hmm,
and get out of our family life.
yeah.
So,
I agree. It's not surprising because most likely that's probably how they look at it because no Republican is, well, most of people who identify as Republican aren't going after everything that wokeism stands for, but they just don't want their kids to be affected in a negative way. And that's completely understandable for a parent to want that.
not to mention the fact that there's a very sizable percentage of the Republican Party that are L, G, and B. If also believe to some degree, I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but to some degree, there are even Republicans that are T. As for the rest of the soup, I don't know. I don't. They make up new letters every day, so who knows? As far as the diversity in the alphabet soup within the Republican Party, but as far as the L, the G, and the B, um, clearly they have a sizable percentage in representation within the Republican Party, and to some much lesser degree, there's even trans representation in the Republican Party. Um, I don't think this is a against the people thing. This isn't we're discriminating against you because of who you are. It's we don't like what you're doing. So for people who happen to be of one of the alphabetical persuasions, if they act normal, then hey, more power to you. But when you start acting kind of like a freak, going after people's kids and trying to push your indoctrinating, messages onto them, that's where well, let me not say normal, but that's where ordinary, regular people who aren't actively involved in politics draw the line.
Hmm.
Like as a father, you come after my family, you come after my kids, we're gonna have a bad time. There's no circumstance under which that is ever going to go well for whoever's trying to do that.
Yeah, and that goes along with one of their other issues, which I'm really not surprised about this one. It's the ability to beat Joe Biden. It's tied with government spending at 27%, but I think no Republican especially, the Democrats of course, but no Republican really wants Joe Biden in office anymore. They want him out of here because
Well, I would say it's so low in priority because I just I can't see how Joe Biden gets reelected. I
yeah, no,
just can't.
no.
Although I will say this: if Trump is actually the nominee, then Joe Biden does have a substantial chance of being reelected because Democrats and establishment Republicans hate Donald Trump so much. The Democratic Party could literally put a retarded monkey on the ballot, and that retarded monkey would win because of the hatred towards Donald Trump.
You can't use that word on YouTube.
Yep, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I'm not gonna mince that word. It is what it is.
Yeah. I also feel like nobody's really putting that on their priorities because he's not winning, man. I don't see it. I don't see how anybody can see him getting reelected.
I just don't think you really give enough weight to how much people hate Donald Trump on the Democratic side. Look at that viral video that was on YouTube of that guy on the bike that went and burnt the guy's sign down, and apparently has done it several times. So much so that Tim Pool and the guy Benny, he's from the Benny show. I can't remember his name.
I have no
It's
clue.
Benny something, but they both put up a reward for information, and they actually tracked him down through some website that he uses to upload his trips on his bike. It's like crazy, man. Like really, you hate Donald Trump so much that you would commit arson on private property just to burn down a sign for Donald Trump that supports Donald Trump. Those people are crazy, Jeremiah. They hate him. He literally represents everything they hate. He's rich, he's white, he's a man, he's a sexist according to them. Like everything about him is like top of the list of everything that they hate. So
Yeah.
yeah, if he's the nominee, yeah, I'm telling you, the special monkey with the football helmet with the sunshine sticker would win if he was the nominee for the Democratic Party.
I don't know, man. I don't think it's that bad.
Hey,
But
people watching the video, comment on your opinion on this thing. I really, I'll put it clear. I really think that if Donald Trump is the nominee, that the Democratic Party, because of their hatred of Donald Trump, would literally be willing to elect a brain damaged monkey, anything except Donald Trump.
so you think if Hunter Biden ran, they'd go with him?
Yeah,
Okay.
crackhead for sure. They would totally look. What was his name?
Yeah.
Oh man, but Byron. I can't remember the guy's name. He was a mayor who was like busted with crack several times and still got reelected.
Former District of Columbia Mayor Marion Barry died Sunday morning. Barry's 4 terms served as mayor were overshadowed by his 1990 arrest after being caught on videotape smoking crack cocaine.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't put anything past the Democratic Party because they talk a lot, but when it comes down to it, the only thing they care about is maintaining power.
Well, I mean, we saw them, they gave us the cleanest and safest election we've ever had back in 2020. So who knows what they're capable of?
Oh yeah, and
"Quote unquote" cleanest and safest election.
don't forget that you know, our dear leader has run the most transparent administration in history.
Yeah.
With the number of Freedom of Information Act requests that have been denied. So yeah, but the other issues on the chart that I'm seeing, they're all important, but in reality, they're minor issues compared to the big
I, I,
ones.
I would say gun crime violence is like, I don't know why it's there. I could understand it's Fox News, but I don't know why it's there.
Well, reducing crime.
Gun or reducing crime or okay. Reducing crime I understand, but gun violence.
Republicans have historically been known as law and order,
Yeah.
while Democrats are clearly on the side of the criminal.
Yeah, yeah.
In their perspective, criminals are all Aladdins. They're just trying to feed their family. That's why they go into a 7-Eleven with a big garbage can and they're stealing cigarettes because they're just trying to feed their family. Don't you understand? They're just trying. These are just poor people that are victims of their circumstances. That's why you see 50 um, people of similar appearance running into a high-end boutique store and stealing several $100,000 worth of clothing because they're just trying to feed their families. You need to understand and be sympathetic of their situation. They're just poor Latins. So yeah, I can understand why it would be a priority for Republicans, especially the Republicans that haven't had enough sense to move out of blue states.
Yeah.
So or for whatever reason they couldn't.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, man. Like these things. I've always tried to communicate to people whenever I have these conversations. Elections have consequences. Every election is portrayed to be, oh, this is the most important election of our life, and it's obviously an exaggeration, but at the same time, there's some truth to it
Mm-hmm.
because you're only one election away from losing everything.
Yeah.
And I think Biden has definitely demonstrated how things can go south in a hurry really quickly.
Yeah. Well, this, as far as what issues matter the most to them, I feel like these are pretty important, but I feel like the ones that are biggest is definitely inflation or increasing costs under control and controlling immigration. I feel like those are probably two stand out, and I'm sure that I believe that it's either going to be Vivek or Trump to win the presidency. I'm sure that when either of them gets elected, they handle that and they'll have it in the bag.